Number 12, the Honourable Lianne Dalziel.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Education and asks, is she satisfied with the transition of the former students of Aorangi Primary School to other primary schools? If so, why?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Yes, the Ministry and local primary schools worked extremely hard to transition the students. The work was a credit to, in particular, the principals of the primary schools, and I'm advised that their very hard work means that the transition of the Aorangi students has gone smoothly. And in fact, I received an email a couple of weeks ago from one of the principals who told me himself that the settlement of the 50 students that he had from Aorangi they'd all settled positively. He'd received supportive emails, comments and letters from families, all pleased with the way that their children had been welcomed at the school and complimenting the Ministry of Education staff, in particular the Christchurch office.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. When will Burnside Primary be provided with a dedicated classroom for bilingual education in light of the revelation today that they have had to resort to the use of the stage in the school hall to provide bilingual lessons?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Bilingual education is available, I'm advised, at both Burnside Primary and Cobham Intermediate, and there is a process happening at the moment. In fact, there's a meeting with whānau tonight to discuss the establishment of a bilingual unit. There is a set process, and I advised of that at the end of last year. I committed to the process of establishing the unit, which is happening apart from the provision of bilingual education, which is happening as we speak at Burnside and at Cobham Intermediate.
The Honourable Lianne Dalziel.
Mr Speaker, why did the Minister choose to shut Aorangi Primary School before the transitional arrangements for all the students had been made, especially in light of the statement of the Burnside principal that not having a separate classroom is placing stress on them all, and that's why he had felt there had not been enough time allowed?
Mr Speaker, it was always very clear that the closure of Aorangi was a completely separate part of establishing a bilingual unit for that part of Christchurch. And I undertook to Ngāi Tahu, in particular, who wanted input into the establishment of that unit, that there would be widespread consultation. In fact, Burnside Primary has property space for 320 students, and they currently have a roll of 288. So how a principal chooses to use their property is entirely their decision.
Speaker.
The Honourable Lianne Dalziel.
Mr Speaker, does the Minister agree with that principal's statement that, and I quote, "Our tamariki deserve better in terms of what we have been able to deliver so far in terms of teaching te reo"? And will she apologise to this school, the teachers, the tamariki, the whānau, for not allowing sufficient time and resources for this transition to occur?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
There was never a bilingual unit other than for primary children at Aorangi, the same as there was at Burnside Primary. We had an extension for 1 year for Aorangi students, for Year 7 students, and I granted that at the beginning of last year. But I made it very clear during the closure of Aorangi School that there would need to be, and there would be, a consultation process in order to set up a bilingual unit that may or may not be put into Burnside Primary and Cobham Intermediate. That is part of that's what you consult. I know that that's an unusual thing for the opposition, but you actually consult in order to get people's points of view, and you don't reach a decision before you take part in consultation.
Point of order, the Honourable Lianne Dalziel.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table two documents. The first is from Burnside Primary School, message home to parents dated the 23rd of February 2010, raising concerns about the issues around how they've ended up in the situation where they haven't had proper provision of bilingual education.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? There is none.
And point Point of order, Mr Speaker. The second document that I seek leave to table is another message home. This was given to parents last week, but unfortunately it's undated, so I can't identify its content by date, but it's the one that says that our tamariki deserve better than we've been able to deliver so far in terms of teaching
Leave
in
a
Te
sword
Reo.
for that purpose. Is there any objection? There is none. The time for oral... the Honourable Clayton Cosgrave.
Mr Speaker, in light of the Minister of Corrections' denial that Maori will be disproportionately affected by the three strikes policy, I seek leave to table a Cabinet paper under the name and signature of the Minister of Police and Corrections, which says the following: the policy, quote, is likely to have a disproportional effect on Maori.
Leave a sword for that purpose. Is there any objection? There is no objection. The time for oral questions is now concluded.